Imagine a world where noble families don't raise children. They breed weapons. Where loyalty isn't rewarded, it's expected. And the moment a warrior stops being useful, they're put down like a dog. For Vikir, that wasn't imagination. That was reality. The story opens in the aftermath of a lifetime of obedience. Vikir stands restrained before the Baskerville clan, the same clan he spent his entire existence serving as their most lethal weapon. His body is already damaged from torture and battle, but what defines the moment isn't physical suffering, it's realization. He understands finally and completely that loyalty meant nothing. Every victory he earned, every enemy he killed, every command he obeyed was never building him status or belonging. It was only sharpening him for use. The Baskerville patriarch, his father, doesn't speak to him as a son. He speaks to him as defective equipment. The accusation of treason is less a crime than a justification. Vikir has lived too long, grown too strong, and become inconvenient. And in Baskerville's culture, a warhound that can no longer be controlled is put down. The execution is public and deliberate, not just punishment but a message. Tools that outlive their purpose are discarded. As he faces death, Vikir's mind doesn't rage. It clarifies. He replays his life with brutal honesty, the training that replaced his childhood, the praise that only followed slaughter, the absence of affection mistaken for discipline, the hierarchy that measured worth purely in killing potential. He realizes he was never betrayed in a single moment. He was raised for betrayal from the start. The system worked exactly as intended. Then death comes, and instead of darkness, he wakes. He is small, weak, unscarred, breathing without pain. He recognizes the room instantly, his childhood quarters within Baskerville's territory. Memory collides with present reality, and he confirms the impossible. He has returned to the beginning of his life, carrying every memory of the end. There is no confusion phase, no denial. Vikir accepts regression, the way a veteran accepts terrain, as fact requiring adaptation. The emotional shift is immediate and chilling. There is no gratitude for a second chance, no relief, only assessment. The first conclusion he reaches is absolute. He will never again live as Baskerville's dog. From that moment, everything changes internally while appearing unchanged externally. He observes his surroundings, servants, instructors, clan members, and sees them not as authority figures or family, but as components of a system he already knows. He understands which adults are loyal enforcers, which children will become rivals, which training methods will shape future power. The entire environment is mapped in his mind years before it unfolds. Training begins again, but this time Vikir approaches it like a strategist, rebuilding a weapon for himself rather than his masters. He practices earlier than expected, mastering fundamentals at speeds that would normally draw attention, but he restrains visible progress. He deliberately performs at levels that appear talented yet unthreatening. The boy who once pushed relentlessly for recognition now hides capability with precision. Competence becomes camouflage. He also notices the cultural signals he ignored in his first life. Baskerville members are named after dog breeds, and as a child he accepted it as tradition. Now he recognizes what it means. The clan does not metaphorically compare itself to hounds, it identifies as them. Bloodline purity, pack hierarchy, hunting instinct, obedience to the patriarch, these are not symbolic traits but core ideology. Children are evaluated like breeding stock. Strength determines rank. Weakness invites culling. It is a kennel disguised as nobility. This realization reframes his own past identity. He wasn't the son of Baskerville. He was their finest breed. The Iron-Blooded Sword Hound wasn't a title, it was classification. And once he sees that clearly, emotional distance becomes permanent. He no longer seeks approval. He no longer interprets discipline as care. Every interaction becomes transactional. As he grows through early training cycles, his internal dialogue constantly recalculates the future. He remembers who will rise in power, which peers will become threats, which instructors favor, which styles, which institutional pathways lead outside Baskerville control. Instead of chasing rank within the clan, he begins designing escape vectors, methods to accumulate strength beyond their authority. His combat training evolves rapidly because he carries mastery in memory. Movements that once took years now return in weeks. But he suppresses lethal intent in public sessions, revealing only controlled skill. The contrast between inner capability and outer display creates constant tension. A veteran assassin wearing the body of a promising child. He also notices the psychological conditioning of other Baskerville children. They crave approval. They compete obsessively. They measure themselves against clan standards. Watching them from his regressed awareness reinforces his resolve. They are still leashed. He is not. The emotional gap between him and everyone else widens until he exists almost entirely in internal solitude. Moments that once shaped loyalty now strengthen detachment. Praise from elders sounds hollow because he knows its conditional nature. Training injuries feel irrelevant compared to past life wounds. Clan rituals meant to inspire pride now reveal indoctrination mechanics. Everything Baskerville does appears transparent, a system manufacturing obedient predators. By the time external education and advancement opportunities begin to approach on the horizon, Vikir has already decided his trajectory. He will not rise as Baskerville's champion again. He will rise independently, accumulate power outside their control, and one day stand above the lineage that created him. Not merely surviving them, surpassing them. And underlying every decision is the same core vow: he will never again be owned. Protagonist and character dynamics. Vikir is one of the coldest regression leads out right now, and I mean that in the best way. This man is not here to prove himself, earn approval, or protect loved ones. He already did all that in his first life, and it got him executed. So this time, he moves like a predator that learned the hunter's patterns. What makes him unique is that he doesn't just reject Baskerville, he rejects the psychology they built into him. No attachments, no emotional exposure, no loyalty reflex. Every interaction he has in the early chapters feels measured, like he's actively resisting conditioning. Now the dog theme runs deep here. House Baskerville straight up names its members after dog breeds. It's not subtle. It tells you everything about how the clan views strength and lineage. Bloodline purity, obedience, hunting instinct, pack hierarchy. They don't see themselves as humans with power. They see themselves as a master breed. And Vikir was the ultimate specimen, the perfect warhound, which makes his rebellion hit different. This isn't just a son turning on a father. It's a trained animal biting the hand that raised it. And the antagonist? It's not just the patriarch. It's the whole Baskerville ideology. The belief that worth equals utility. That if you're strong, you command. If you're weak, you're cold. That system is the villain, and that gives the story way more philosophical bite than typical revenge setups. Themes and tropes. This story is basically a thesis on dehumanization through hierarchy, but framed through the metaphor of dogs. Baskerville children are raised like elite breeds, trained young, ranked constantly, valued by performance. Affection doesn't exist, only expectation. And once a hound ages out, disposal. So, when Vikir regresses, the real revenge isn't killing enemies, it's reclaiming humanity. Except here's the twist. He doesn't become warmer or kinder, he becomes free. And that's a subtle but powerful difference. Trope-wise, yeah, we've got regression, hidden genius, noble academy setup. But the emotional direction flips expectations. Most regression heroes want recognition from the family that wronged them. Vikir wants independence from needing recognition at all. He's not trying to be acknowledged by Baskerville. He's trying to outgrow the need for them to exist. Also notable, this series avoids the rage revenge trope. Vikir isn't screaming or swearing vengeance, he's calculating. Long-term, structural. That makes the payoff feel inevitable rather than explosive. World building and system. The world comes across as a rigid aristocratic military empire where noble houses function like weapon manufacturers. Baskerville is basically the empire's elite war kennel, producing commanders and fighters the way a breeder produces champion dogs. That framing alone gives the setting a harsh industrial tone. Training structures, rank culture, and academy pathways all reinforce hierarchy. Talent is tracked early. Children are evaluated constantly. Status is inherited but still contested through performance. That creates a world where worth equals measurable strength, exactly the environment that produced Vikir's first life tragedy. Combat also feels grounded in discipline rather than flashy magic spam. Swordsmanship is about efficiency and killing intent, not spectacle. That fits the Sword Hound concept perfectly. Precise, lethal, economical movement. No wasted motion, no wasted emotion. Art and visual storytelling. Visually, the series leans hard into aristocratic severity. Uniforms are sharp, environments are cold. Baskerville architecture feels like a fortress crossed with a kennel. Ordered, controlled, impersonal. Even group scenes often position characters in ranked spacing, like a pack formation. Vikir himself is drawn with minimal expressions most of the time, which reinforces that sense of internal containment. When he does show emotion, usually through eyes rather than face, it lands harder because it's rare. Action scenes emphasize precision strikes rather than flashy choreography. Panels often isolate Vikir mid-movement, visually separating him from others, again reinforcing the lone wolf energy. It's subtle, but it keeps the psychological tone consistent. Pacing and structure. The first 10 chapters move with deliberate restraint. Instead of rushing into revenge moments, the story focuses on mental repositioning. Vikir mapping the future, identifying power structures, re-evaluating training paths. You feel him rewriting destiny step by step. That slow strategic build is exactly what this kind of revenge story needs, because the target isn't one enemy, it's an entire clan system. So the pacing communicates scale. This revenge will take time, it will be earned, and when it lands, it'll dismantle something big. Structurally, you can already see the trajectory. Childhood divergence to academy expansion to external power base to Baskerville confrontation. It's long game storytelling, not episodic revenge beats. Strengths. The biggest strength is thematic cohesion. Everything, names, hierarchy, training culture, visuals, character psychology, reinforces the dog metaphor and dehumanization theme. Nothing feels random or aesthetic only. Another major strength is protagonist consistency. Vikir's behavior always matches his trauma and worldview. He never suddenly acts warm or naive for plot convenience. That psychological integrity makes the revenge arc believable and mature. And finally, tone commitment. The story never softens Baskerville or reframes them sympathetically. It stays clear. This is a lineage built on exploitation. That clarity keeps stakes sharp. Potential downsides? If you're the type of reader who needs early emotional bonds, friendships, or team chemistry, the opening arc might feel cold. Vikir intentionally avoids attachment, so relational dynamics are minimal early on. The measured pacing can also feel slower compared to action-heavy regression manhwa, where the MC starts flexing power immediately. Here the flex is delayed for strategic build-up, but honestly, these are preference gaps more than flaws. Audience fit. If you like protagonists who break free from oppressive systems rather than just beat villains, this is your lane. Fans of cold, calculating anti-heroes will vibe hard with Vikir. Closest parallels in popular culture: Berserk, Vinland Saga, The Return of the Crazy Demon, Nanomachine, Game of Thrones. But here's the key difference. Most of those stories still have emotional anchors: comrades, love, belonging. Revenge of the Iron-Blooded Sword Hound intentionally removes that. It's closer to watching a trained war animal evolve into something self-directed and dangerous. So if you enjoy anti-hero regressors, aristocratic power politics, systemic revenge arcs, psychological autonomy themes, this is basically premium content. Verdict. Revenge of the Iron-Blooded Sword Hound stands out because it understands its own metaphor. Baskerville isn't just a cruel family, it's a breeding system. And Vikir isn't just betrayed, he was conditioned. His regression isn't about getting stronger, it's about becoming unowned. That thematic clarity, combined with a surgically consistent protagonist and long game revenge structure, puts this series near the top tier of modern regression manhwa. Final rating, 9.6 out of 10. A revenge story where the leash breaks and the hound stops belonging to anyone. If you like this video, and you've got recommendations for what I should cover next, drop a comment, hit that like, subscribe. Stay unowned. I'll see you in the next one.